I didn't even think it would get published, and then when it got published, I had no inkling that it would ever be turned into a movie. It didn't seem like it would be possible. I'm R.J. Palacio, the author of Wonder and Whitebird. When I first sat down to write Wonder, I didn't know I was about to sit down and write a book. You know, I basically just had this idea, and I sat down and I wrote, I know I'm not an ordinary kid.
I know I'm not an ordinary 10-year-old kid. I mean, I do ordinary things. Eat ice cream, ride my bike. I'm really good at playing sports. Well, on my Xbox.
They did use the very first line from Wonder as the first line in the movie, and I was thrilled. You know, the fact that they made the movie and started it at that point brought it full circle for me. You know, it started out as this moment when I sat down to write a book that I didn't even know if it was going to be a book, if I'd ever finish it, and then years later, seeing it in a movie theater and having that same first line in the opening sequence of the movie, it was pretty amazing. Some of them were similar to what I had in mind. Mr. Tushman, certainly. Mandy Patinkin was who I had in mind when I was writing Mr. Tushman. For some reason, he was in my head, and they cast him, and that was perfect. Certainly, Summer and Jack and Julian, those were exactly like they'd been sprung from my head. I thought they were absolutely right on the money. Mr. Brown, who was fashioned after my English teacher, you know, in my mind I had a certain vision of him. When they ended up casting Daveed Diggs, I thought it was brilliant, even though he's very different from my vision of him, because my vision was based on a real person. Same with Owen Wilson. You know, he's not what I had pictured when I was writing the dad, but now I cannot picture anyone else. And of course, Julia Roberts can do no wrong in my book at any point, ever. There was a little hesitation on my part about the makeup, and this, you know, I'm not telling any tales. I had wanted them to push the makeup a little bit more, to make Augie look a little bit more the way I describe him as looking in the book. But there were lots of reasons why they ended up not doing that, which I respect very much. But that was the one choice that was made. It was not my choice. That was probably very different from how I imagined Augie is looking in the book. When you're translating one medium to another, what works with words on a written page doesn't necessarily translate well if not tinkered with. A movie's kind of almost like a haiku version of a book. You have much less time on film with which to capture what in a book you can sort of lead up to, and you can infer, and you can be a little bit more subtle in a book, but you can't be that way in a movie. Stephen chose to have a physical confrontation between Julian and Jack a little earlier in the movie. Consequently, later on, he didn't think that there would be that much room for a second physical altercation. So he kind of reduced the what I thought was a much bigger scene in the book, which is when Augie and Jack are in the nature reserve, and they're picked on, and there's a whole confrontation between some older kids that they don't know.
Look at his face!
He's a freak.
Jesus, I've never seen anything that ugly in my life.
Maybe it's an orc.
Dude, let's go.
Go where? Hey, talking to you, Gollum.
The scene in the book takes place at night. It's a longer scene. There's more confrontation. The whole thing sort of takes longer to unfold. And in the movie, it's very short. It takes place during the daytime pretty much. And it has a different feel to it.
Thanks, guys. You totally saved our butts.
It's more like an adventurous tale, as opposed to in the book. It's much deeper and sadder and tugs at your heartstrings. I was a little hesitant about it, you know, when I saw it in the script, and Stephen Chbosky assured me it would play well, and I trusted him. And then I remember when I saw the movie, I thought, oh, he was right. It really does work. You know, I was so pleased that they decided to end the movie exactly where the book ends, which is at the graduation scene.
Without further ado, this year, I am very proud to award the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to the student whose quiet strength has carried up the most hearts. So, will August Pullman please come up here to receive this award?
It's a moment of great joy in Augie's life and in the life of his parents. It's a moment where he's able to sort of look back at all the things he went through in 5th grade and know that it was worthwhile. And the fact that Stephen Chbosky ended the movie on that note was really wonderful. I love the way the movie ended. I think they did a great job, and they captured the spirit of it. If you can have a movie capture the essence of your book, give or take a few details here and there, you're really lucky. And with Wonder, I was really lucky.